Women Now is brought to you by Intero, Gulati Financial, Building Kids, El Camino Hospital, and Pandit Parashar.
Welcome back to Women Now. Hope you had a great start to your weekend. Let's spice it up a little more with our take a stand on much talked about issue of Devyani, who was the Assistant Consul of India at New York until late last year. Then we take you on our fascinating journey with Smita and finally wrap up the show with our hallmark of the week, Neetal Parekh. So don't go anywhere, stay with us. Well, Devyani Khobragade happened few months back. Why should we still talk about it? Because we feel the issue is deep-seated. She just unfolded it. Today in our studio, we have Vinita Dubey Pandey and Manish Judge to fight this. Did India do the right thing by reacting to Devyani's arrest? Take a stand. Devyani Khobragade, the Deputy Consul General of India in New York City, was charged by US authorities with committing visa fraud and providing false statement in order to gain entry to the United States for Sangeeta Richard, her then maid. Her arrest and treatment have been received much media attention, particularly in India, and have led to a major diplomatic standoff between India and the United States. What's your stand on that, Vinita?
Well, I don't think that Devyani should have been arrested in the first place. That's my personal opinion.
She broke the law. She broke the law.
Well, the procedure should have taken place.
I thought that what I read was she was given a few hours and she was actually put in a car where she made phone calls. She told one story, but the reality was completely different. She screamed bloody murder because she said, hey, I'm arrested and I shouldn't have been arrested and I'm above the law, but she wasn't above the law.
I'm not arguing with that.
Yes.
So what I'm arguing
You said she shouldn't have been arrested.
No, she shouldn't have been arrested.
But she was because she broke the law.
No, but she's a diplomat.
But she didn't have full immunity.
She did have full immunity.
But that's not what Barara said.
No.
Well, to me, it doesn't matter. Immunity or no immunity.
That is exactly why Pete Bharara should have contacted the Indian embassy, right?
So why are we deciding what Preet Bharara should have done or not? I mean, idea is whether she should have been arrested or not. She should have been or should not have been.
Should have been.
I'm not arguing that she shouldn't have been brought to justice. But when there is an international agreement on how diplomats should be brought to justice, it should be applied equally to all countries.
So let me ask you the question. So a diplomat has never been arrested before in this country?
It depends on the immunity.
Well, she, according to Preet Bharara, who I have to believe knows what he's talking about.
No, he doesn't.
She did not
he's not an international lawyer.
He doesn't know what he's talking about now?
No, he does not.
Really?
Yes.
He doesn't know what he's talking about?
Exactly.
Well, the US authorities arrested
I mean,
He's not an international lawyer. There are 2 points here.
Isn't he a U.S. prosecutor?
First of all,
isn't he a U.S. prosecutor?
He's a U.S. prosecutor. He's not an international
So isn't
lawyer.
it?
This is in
I mean,
US land.
so I mean,
No, this is not about U.S. land. She is an international
but she
diplomat.
clearly he went on his record and said
See, the
she
premise
didn't
is
have.
incorrect. The premise is incorrect. You have to first take the premise that she's a diplomat, just like any other diplomat, whether it's a U.S. diplomat, a Kenyan diplomat. They have an international agreement on how we will treat each other's diplomats.
When they have full immunity. So I think that
she had full immunity.
That's not what all the papers say.
I have documented facts for that.
Let me jump in here and say, so are we all agreeing that yes, she did a crime, she should be punished, she's not allowed to commit a crime and represent a country in the highest office and by illegally writing different numbers at different places?
Can I add to that? I absolutely agree with you. When countries are friends, there are exceptions, and there's a nod-wink principle.
Are you
Let me tell you this.
But you're saying that that's okay?
When countries are friends, things are allowed, which are exceptions.
And here's what the problem is. Here's what the problem is. India is based on the whole way the system works is based on entitlements. She is the daughter of a great guy who's an IAS guy or whatever the heck she was. So therefore, it's okay for her. That is what's the problem with India, that ministers' kids commit murder, rape, the whole 9 yards,
No,
they get
let's
away
stick
with
on
it.
the point.
No, I mean, but I'm sticking to the point that
is
she has been
the
brought
react-
up with this idea of entitlement,
No,
that
so-
because she's the daughter of somebody who's well-placed, she has a right to do what she wants.
I am going back to the point here. The point is that India reacted to the way she was arrested. That is how the whole thing
So that's
happened.
ridiculous.
Was there any
No way.
situation?
No way.
Okay, let me ask you
No
this.
way.
Okay, let me ask you
When
this.
you are
Okay,
friends-
time out. Let me ask you this. Was there any point in time that she came out openly and said, yes, this was
No.
not the right
No,
thing
she
to do?
screamed bloody murder.
No,
Oh my
yeah.
God, they stripped me. Oh my God, they arrested me.
Yeah, but
And
she
she
never
lied
came
about
out.
everything. She was full of it.
She never came up in the open and said, yes, this was not the right
Because
thing
she doesn't
do.
have to, because her
Why?
daddy's going to save her.
No, I'm
All
not
of you are
saying that.
giving examples of other countries where murders happened, this happened,
Yes.
and that happened.
It's not
Why
that.
are we talking about that now? Let us all say, yes, she was in a country where salary and wages were supposed to be something. She wrote a different number. She committed crime. She did a mistake. But yes, now we will try talk about how it
This
can be
should have
resolved.
been handled
It
differently.
should not have been a point discussion for a nation like India and blown it up out of proportion and out of
Absolutely,
extent.
absolutely.
So everyone now thinks
India thinks
is
it's
a
barbaric by the
way
reaction.
It was handled was
India
incorrect.
didn't react to the medical student who got
It
raped
doesn't
this
matter.
way.
You-
They
let me go back
reacted
to
to,
the point.
imagine this,
Let me go
a
back to
medical
the point
student gets
here.
raped and killed, and no one says a damn
can
thing.
talk about the entire
And no,
world's
but I'm just saying,
problems.
and then
But-
this happens, and they bulldoze they want to bulldoze the embassy. They're going to
way
give her a
important.
Hallmark
See,
card
both-
and roses
why-
when they
why is
arrest
the
her.
way
Both
important?
US and India are at fault here. If you have found a practice which was being, kind of okayed by US and US embassy was fully aware of it, you should have notified the Indian embassy and you should have notified the Ministry of External Affairs saying, we have caught your maid doing this. We know this is a practice that we've allowed unofficially,
It's all about
and we need to
punishing
fix
somebody
it.
who does
And
something
we
wrong.
know we
The
need to
way is
fix
not
this.
the point over here. You have to punish people who commit crime.
India and US could have taken care of this without breaking the relationship.
So that's about it. Thank you guys for
Thanks.
joining us.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Women Now. Now, this show is all about natak, or drama, or play, or theatre. Natak was started in 1995 by two students, one from the University of California in Berkeley and the other from Stanford. So let's wait till the show begins. Rajiv, tell me about the incubation of Natak itself. How did you start, and where is it today?
It has been 18 years, 44 plays, 164 shows, more than 35,000 audience. That's where it is today. It started in 1996. Started in December 95. First production was in February 96. It was started by two IIT students, IIT Delhi students specifically, Sujit Saraf and Sanjay Rajgopalan, who were doing, college ke zamane mein jo theatre karte hain. So they were doing theatre there. And in late 80s and early 90s, and it so happened that both of them arrived for their PhD. Fast forward few years, one of them was at Stanford, one was at Berkeley. They said, "Arey, we are together. Let time to do it again." So they started this student theater group. Right, those were students. And few of the people joined in, people like me, who were no longer students, who had just graduated, moved to Silicon Valley and saw this flyer looking for audition. And
So you've been here since 18 years as well.
Exactly. 18 years. My hair is still black, but this time it is with chemicals. It is with chemicals.
Wonderful. Now tell me, when I went to buy tickets online, I also saw that it prompted me to buy season passes. How many shows do you produce during a year?
So until now, we have been doing 3 shows a year. But as you asked, where is it now? So where it is now is 4 plays this year for the first time in the history of Natak. So we are growing, we are finding a lot of directors, a lot of good scripts. So since we had 4 plays, we said, it's time to reward our regular patrons and sell season pass. So the group is becoming bigger, becoming a more professional theater-like. So this year we are doing 4 productions.
Alka, you're producing this current Natak, which is Party. What is it that you enjoy about production?
I enjoy seeing the whole production come together, different aspects of it. The producer basically is responsible for every other aspect of the play other than the creative aspect of it, I guess. That's the director's role.
And what are the challenges of producing something that goes live as opposed to, being recorded in the past?
I guess the challenges are, like you said, a live performance. You don't get a retake. What it is what it is. If something goes wrong, it goes wrong. And I guess we try and fix it for the next show. But otherwise, once the stage is set, it's pretty much in the actor's hands to make it happen.
तुम्हारा नाम क्या है? माधुरी। वैसे ही माधुरी दीवाना की ओर खिंची चली आई है।
How much of prep work is necessary to act in a theater, and what do you actually do on the day of the play?
Difficult question. Number of questions. So here it is. Depends. If you are new, then of course you need quite a bit of it. But I have been acting with Natak for the last 10 years. So we know the way it works, how we all interact, what are the arrangements and what are the things. So still it takes, if you talk about formal practice, it's 2 to 3 months. So it's a good amount.
Is that for one play that you take 2 to 3 months?
One play, yes. That's
And do you ever get scared, what if I fumble on stage? And if you do, what do?
So with time, you develop your own tricks that how you're gonna recover from there, and it becomes your personality. As a matter of fact, then you eventually you're integrated with the character, right on the spot.
Give us your favorite dialogue.
From this play. Yes. क्या वाकई समझ लिया है? और अगर वह सत्य मेरे सामने आकर अचानक खड़ा हो जाए तो उससे आंख मिलाने की हिम्मत मुझ में है? नो बसंती, नहीं। मैं पिछले 20 साल से सत्य को सिर्फ समझने का आभास बनाता रहा हूं।
What is different about this particular play, Party?
Every play is very different. And this play, I don't know if you know it, this play is about a group of people, and it's a party of people who themselves are part of the world of art, the world of theater. And so, in a sense, it tends to relate to all of us. It tries to bring out the pretensions of the people who should be at least committed to their art.
You're ready to go on stage. How long did it take you?
Oh, not very long at all. Rajiv was in there a minute ago and I was not dressed, and he's like, "Are you ready?" I said, "Give me 5 minutes, I'll be out there." The only real dressing part that has occurred here is my hairpiece, because my normal appearance is a clean-shaved head. As I like to tell people, I like to present a blank canvas to my director so they can paint whatever they wish to.
Neetal Parekh is an attorney by education and a digital content strategist by training, a social innovator at heart. She founded InnovateSocial.com. Neetal currently serves on the executive committee of MIT Stanford V-Lab and the advisory board of New Leaders Council, Silicon Valley. Neetal, welcome to Women Now. You are the Women Now hallmark for this week. You look gorgeous.
Oh, thank you. It's an honor to be here, and you look really elegant. So it's nice
thank you. Now, tell me in your mind, what has been your biggest accomplishment, you think?
I think that the biggest accomplishment really has been bringing people together behind big ideas, if that makes any sense. But I think, I don't know if any single thing I've done has been that great, but I think when I was able to bring people together and work on an idea that was bigger than ourselves, those things have been the most rewarding. And
now, while you work, do you have a role model, someone that you want to be like?
Yeah, I think so many instances in life you can kind of find role models and everything. You know, there's that saying that you can look and find God in everyone you meet, and I feel like it's similar to role model. Close to my heart, of course, are my mom and my sister. I think I get a lot of my cues from them, or how to be a better person, or but I think really you can find role models, in everything that you do, and
Right,
the people
totally.
you
I
connect with.
completely
So,
agree. The people you meet all of a sudden out of nowhere, even a child, just I feel like there's so much to learn from that person. Now, what inspires you? What keeps you going? What do you wake up for?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the idea that we live in a place that we can kind of chart our own path, I feel like that's very inspiring. So in some ways, we have a blank slate that we can kind of figure out what that will be. I think I've taken a lot of risks and leaps of faith in my life. So some of those things haven't worked out the way, the ideal, but the potential for everything is what that is inspiring, especially when you think that you can combine creating something that's valuable, but also creating a positive impact. I think that is a very inspiring and propelling kind of energy.
You mentioned a very important thing. You've tried many risks, and it's not that every time you've succeeded, you failed too. Now, how do you pick yourself up from that position and move on? I mean, what do you tell yourself? That you failed, but you must go on. What do you tell your mind?
During Martin Luther King Day, which was just recently, there was a quote by him that I found that I feel like just really spoke to me with regards to this. He says, he said, if you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But whatever you do, you must keep moving forward. And I really think that in all of the work that we do, especially if it's close to our heart and we feel really compelled, sometimes you aren't able to fly and you're just crawling across. So I think it's that whole idea of if you can just move a little bit forward, and especially when you've failed or fallen and you're on the ground, like sometimes all you can do is just to take one, crawl forward. And I think that's kind of, after hearing that, I feel like it resonated so much with my own experience with failure and not succeeding, and also when things are going well and you're able to move forward. So
He said something else also. He said, don't judge me by my accomplishments, judge me by my failures. How many times I've failed, judge me by that. So I think that's very important to keep in mind, that you will always not succeed. But tell me more about, if you had to leave behind one thing, and that's something that you work for and that's what drives you, what would that be? How should people remember Neetal Parekh?
I think if after my last day, if people are gathered in a room and they've all had some experience, positive experience of how they were connected to me, like maybe I would introduce them to someone, or some positive thing that I was able to pass on to them, that would be enough. Because I feel like no matter who you are, your flame only is only so bright, and then everyone it's very finite. So I mean, after we're not here, I don't think people will remember us for very long, but the connections that we've made, that we've been able to help people, that they've been able to help people, those things like continue much further. So I think I went skydiving a few years back, and we had this very serious conversation because many things can happen.
Did you think that, hey, I cannot make it, hey, so let's all have our last line written?
We did that and then we said, what is the most important thing that we want to remember? And I think I remember even then at that time thinking that if I've helped one person and maybe they've gone on to help one person, then that's honestly enough. You don't need to have people just so nostalgic or sad about you, but if you're able to do something positive, that is propelling. And that
now on that day, if someone asked you to write something about what you learned in your journey. So let's take that skydiving day as your last day. Okay. And then you have to write a note that this is what I learned in my life. What would that be?
Oh, wow. These are deep questions.
What have you learned the most?
I think that I've learned that I think like love is probably the greatest like kind of positive force. And I don't think it's always easy to understand it, or there are times when we can't kind of embrace it, but I think that's the most propelling force. Whether like I have a dog who I love a lot, my family, your friends who are around you, or even the people that are doing amazing things. If you can live in that space of love, I think it's just one of the most the strongest And
I'm
most
guessing you're not
compelling.
married because the husband didn't come.
Not yet. So there's one part of love that is.
So there is love that she's waiting for all our viewers.
But there's many forms of love, and I think those, and even compassion, like those things, I think are like the most powerful. I think we have all these negative, things that can bring us down, or we see what's happening in the world, and those are powerful. Things that the cues we get from media. But I would say that the power, the positive, the potential of like being love, of giving and receiving is like that's like one of the greatest, I think, things.
And then I just want to know from you, if you could change one thing in the world through all that power of love, or whatever power you have acquired over time, what change would you like to see? Again, remember that day that you flew. That, hey, I have to jump this plane. Jump from the plane. So, what is it that I want to see as changed?
Well, one thing that I've kind of dedicated a lot of my life to in the recent history is writing about social entrepreneurship or social innovation, people that are using the power of business models to create positive impact. So I think what's been really exciting about that is we often thought about the world as either for-profit or non-profit, and now there's this middle road of people that are trying to create value and impact. So I think maybe if there was one change I would love to see in the future is more of that, where that everyone is finding a way to create impact in what they're doing, even if they are pursuing a really strong bottom line in their business, but they're looking at a triple or double bottom line of creating some impact in society and in the environment. So I think I feel like the landscape is changing, and I'm sure when you're doing your show 50 years from now with another set of amazing guests, I think that that they will be talking about how the world has changed because people have found ways to create impact and value.
It's very interesting you said that middle thing, and that's who we are. Women Now is that platform. It's not for profit, not for non-profit. It's that middle ground. And if you have time, come join our group. That would be perfect. So we have a Women Now hallmark into a Women Now volunteer. That would be so much fun. Thank you so much, Neetal. Wish you great luck in your career.
Thank you. You too.
Well, it's time now to say goodbye, but before we let you go, here's our quote of the day. Always continue the climb. It's possible for you to do whatever you choose if you first get to know who you are and are willing to work with a power that is greater than ourselves to do it. Thanks for watching us today. We'll see you next week, same time, same place. But don't forget to write us what you thought about the show at info@womennow.tv. Take care, everyone.